Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between gentle hills and fields that danced with the wind, there lived a quiet boy named Elias. The village was simple. Roosters crowed at dawn, children played with sticks and stones, and the smell of warm bread drifted from open windows. Life moved slowly there. But for Elias, even in a place full of charm, the world often felt silent and cold. He had lived in the village orphanage for as long as anyone could remember. No one knew exactly when he arrived, just that one day he was there. A tiny boy with messy hair, big brown eyes, and a heart that beat quietly beneath his worn sweater. Elias never spoke much. He wasn't the kind of child who ran to greet visitors or joined in the chaos of the other boys. Instead, he'd sit on the porch each day, his sketchbook resting on his knees, drawing what he saw in his dreams. He drew families, houses with open doors, tables with steaming food, a mother smiling, a father reaching out, a child being held. He didn't know why he drew them. He'd never had one of his own. But in his mind, these people were real, and their love was warm. The caretakers at the orphanage cared for him the best they could, but they stopped showing him to potential parents. He doesn't talk. He barely makes eye contact. He just draws. And so Elias became the boy no one noticed. Until an autumn afternoon, when the leaves began to fall like golden confetti, a couple arrived from the city. They weren't like the usual villagers. He wore a blazer with dusty shoes, and she wore a flowing blue dress that danced in the wind. They had kind smiles, but their eyes carried something else, a quiet sorrow, like they too had been searching for something they hadn't yet found. They walked around the orphanage, greeted by a swarm of laughing, energetic children. The woman smiled, but her gaze kept drifting. The man, curious, noticed a boy sitting alone on the porch. "Who's that?" he asked. The caretaker didn't hesitate. "That's Elias. He's been here for years. Doesn't talk much, sweet boy, but no one's ever been interested." The man nodded slowly and walked toward Elias, who was focused on his drawing. He crouched beside him and peeked into his sketchbook. There it was, a drawing of a small house, a man, a woman in a blue dress, and a little boy holding their hands. The woman's face looked surprisingly familiar. Her dress was nearly identical to the one his wife was wearing at that very moment. "Who are they?" the man asked gently. Elias looked up. His voice was quiet but steady. "They're the family I see in my dreams," he said. "The lady always wears that dress." The woman, standing a few steps away, froze. That dress had belonged to her late mother, and she had worn it that day without even knowing why. Something inside her trembled. An invisible thread had just been pulled tight. They didn't say anything more that afternoon, but 3 days later, they returned. And this time, they didn't come to visit. They came to bring Elias home. For the first time in his life, Elias had a room of his own, a bed with soft blankets and a window that opened to the hills. But more than that, he had two people who looked at him, not through him, and who listened, even when he didn't speak. Years passed. Elias began to open up. He spoke more, smiled more, and drew even more. His sketches turned into paintings, and those paintings began to carry something powerful. People said they could feel the emotions in his work: loneliness, hope, love, grief, joy, all captured in every brushstroke. At age 16, his art was discovered by a local gallery. Then came a national award. Soon, international exhibits followed. Critics called him the boy who painted souls. But fame never changed him. In interviews, when asked about his past, Elias always smiled and said, "I didn't need many words. I just needed someone to see me." And those who once overlooked the silent, forgotten child on the porch now stood in line just to catch a glimpse of the stories he painted. The boy nobody wanted had become the young man who touched thousands. And the couple who took a chance on him, they never doubted for a moment that the family Elias once dreamed of was never just a dream at all. Sometimes the world is too quick to label people as invisible. But maybe the quietest hearts carry the loudest stories. And maybe the ones we overlook are the ones meant to change us most. If stories like this touch your heart too, there are many more waiting for you right here. True stories, quiet voices, deep lessons. Stay with us and let your soul remember what truly matters.